I want to now shift to the LSU Tigers. I believe that Ed Orgeron and the LSU Tigers are an elite college football program. I consider LSU to be a tier 1 college football program, you know. Ed Orgeron is not quite on the level of Dabo Swinney, or Nick Saban, you know, but Ed Orgeron's a pretty darn good head coach. And outside of Alabama, Clemson, and maybe Ohio State, I cannot name many programs better than LSU in regards to football. College football programs, it goes Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, LSU, that's it. That's your tier 1 programs. If you want to throw in Oklahoma, go ahead, but I'm not putting Oklahoma ahead of LSU just because they don't play big boy football. You know, it's a soft pillow fighting conference in the Big 12. Oklahoma's not a physical team, and anytime they run up against Alabama, a Clemson, or an LSU, or an Ohio State, they get bodied. They get pushed around. They're not in that category, in my opinion, okay? And I know what you're probably thinking. You're probably thinking, Jamon, what are you talking about? LSU this year's 3-5. They've lost to Mississippi State. They've lost to Missouri. Alabama beat them 55-17. How is LSU an elite program? Well, I'll tell you why. And first of all, before I get into the reasons why, keep in mind, Ed Orgeron is not the only head coach in college football right now that is struggling. PJ Fleck, one of the better young head coaches in all college football. He's won 58% of his games. He's struggling. Lincoln Riley, Oklahoma, the last 3 years, he's won 12 games. His team got to a slow start. Jim Harbaugh, he's won 64% of his career games. He's struggling this year. James Franklin, he's won 65% of his regular season games in his career. He's struggling this year. Mario Cristobal has won 72% of his games at Oregon. He's struggling this year. They're not even ranked. Folks, it's okay for a coach to have one bad season. If you've been great and you've delivered national titles and and you've shown excellence over time, I'm going to give you a pass in a year of COVID, okay? I'm just going to do that. That's what I'm going to do because I'm a guy that is looking at things from a realistic perspective. Am I supposed to think that Ed Orgeron just can't coach because he's having one bad year in a year where LSU lost 14 draft picks to the NFL? Folks, Ed Orgeron in 5 years at LSU has won 75% of his games. He's gone 4-1 in bowl games. He's won a national title. Last year's LSU team was arguably the best college football team of all time. They were 15-0. They beat a lot of great opponents, and they had a lot of great players as well. Maybe outside of the Miami Hurricanes from 2001, you can make the argument that last year's LSU team in 2019 was the best team in college football history. And Ed Orgeron was the guy that was the conductor of that ship. And by the way, you talk about, well, Ed Orgeron had 14 draft picks. He was carried. Who recruited those draft picks? Who developed those draft picks? Who brought in Joe Burrow? Who brought in Joe Brady to help out his offense? That guy was Ed Orgeron. And by the way, LSU has a standard of putting players in the National Football League. They got the third most players drafted since 2000, okay? If I'm a highly sought-after recruit and I want to go play in the NFL and I want to compete for national titles, I don't know how LSU doesn't come up on my list pretty much automatically. It's right up there with Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State. It's right there. You know, you can get a great education at LSU. You can compete for national titles. You can win bowl games. And by the way, give Ed Orgeron some credit in this regard. Ed Orgeron does not get enough credit for making adjustments this past season. Ed Orgeron realized, hey, I can't win the SEC just running the football down people's throat and playing great defense. I need to run a spread offense. I need to get Jamar Chase involved. I need to get Justin Jefferson involved. I need to get a real quarterback that can actually throw the ball down the field. I need to bring in an offensive coordinator that will incorporate some NFL concepts, and I need to start throwing the football down the field more consistently and being more explosive on offense. Because if I can't do that, I'm not going to beat the Trevor Lawrences, the Justin Fields, or the Tua Tagovailoas of the world. LSU totally changed their entire offense last season, and guess what? It won them a national title. Ed Orgeron, he's one of the best head coaches in all college football. 2020 is just one bump in the road. LSU is going to reboot. They're going to be much improved next year. They're going to continue to put players in the NFL. They're going to win bowl games. They're going to compete for national titles. This is not the beginning of the end for Ed Orgeron. He's got a great future ahead of him at LSU. If you want to sell your stock on Ed Orgeron, hey, fine. Go ahead and do it. I'm not going to be that person. I'm going to hold on to my Ed Orgeron stock, and I'm going to watch LSU reboot next year and continue to prove why they're an elite program and why you should not be disrespecting them. LSU is a great program. Ed Orgeron's a great head coach. That's where I land on the LSU Tigers. They're definitely a top-tier program for all the reasons that I mentioned. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God-blessed day, and I'm out.